So far, 2022 has seen a wave of anti-LGBTQ measures. According to the Human Rights Campaign, 23 states have introduced anti-LGBTQ plus bills, and 13 other states have signed them into law. In fact, a dear friend of the show, Stacey Stevenson, who is the CEO of Family Equality, you see them there, ooh, look at little London and Duke, recently made the difficult decision to leave her home state of Texas, their home state of Texas, for Washington, D.C., because Texas has become inhospitable for her and her wife and their 2 sons. We know that relocation is not an option for everyone, but the fact that some people are relocating is a sign of how bad things are. Joining me now is Stacey Stevenson, CEO of Family Equality. Stacey, thank you for coming back to the Sunday show. When you sent me the message about, hey, we're moving to Washington, and you explained why, I thought, this is incredible. What was the turning point for you to say, okay, we're getting out of here?
First of all, we are a Black lesbian married couple raising 2 Black boys in Texas. So just sort of set the stage with that. And there are various compounding factors working against us, from LGBTQ plus anti-legislation to voter restriction, book bans, et cetera. Mm-hmm. The turning point was, I'd have to say, London came home one day, and I've had this sense that we needed to move for quite some time, but I wanted to stay and fight. That's what I do. I'm a native Texan, right. Let's stay and fight. London came home one day and said that he felt that the president of Florida, he calls the governor's presidents are coming to Texas to be in cahoots with the president of Texas to hurt LGBTQ plus families. And when he said that, I thought my child is listening. He's afraid. And where is he hearing this? How did he put those 2 things together? But for him to think that his family was going to be harmed, I remember I actually canceled the business trip to stay home and be with him. That was something where we said, we have to do something. What are we going to do? How are we going to do this?
How old are London and Duke? Because they're twins.
They just turned 8. They just turned 8 in August.
Happy birthday, London and Duke. I'm sorry, I missed that. They just turned 8.
Just turned 8.
Now, it's not possible that London overheard you talking about these things, maybe at the dinner table or,
He's heard me talk about things, right? He's been at some of our presentations, some of our galas. The fact that he put this together about hurting LGBTQ plus families, which is something that I've never said. In fact, if I'm really honest, he said the word kill. And so where did that come from? That's what he hasn't heard. And so I know they hear things at school. I know that they hear things on the news, but the fact that he put that together and thought that his family was going to be hurt was really worrisome. And so we said, we have to do something.
I am glad you gave the real thing that he said, because it's one thing for a child to say, I'm afraid that my family is going to get hurt. It ratchets it up to a whole new level of alarm, which now I understand why you canceled the business trip. When your 8-year-old says, I'm afraid that this guy is going to get in cahoots with the governor here, or the president of Texas, as he calls him, and kill our family.
LGBTQ plus families. Yes.
You're not the only one. You and your family are not the only one who have decided to relocate. A colleague of mine, Washington Post contributing columnist Fernanda Santos, also made the decision to relocate to New York with her non-binary child. What needs to happen for people to feel safe in their communities?
Well, it's obvious that the legislators in Texas and legislators in Arizona and Florida and et cetera do not understand that they have to have the responsibility to protect all citizens. There are 1.8 million LGBTQ plus people in Texas, and they are completely ignoring that contingent of their citizens. And so what needs to happen is that we have to vote in pro-equality legislators. That's really what needs to happen. We have to understand that I know a lot of us feel powerless right now, but we do have power. How do we cope right now? The way that we cope is that we have to vote. That is the only way really to affect change. I know right now that lots of people want to move and cannot move. And to those people, I say that I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you can't move. I understand that as a privilege. I understand my privilege. I can actually pick up my family and move. Everybody can't do that. And so to those folks, I say sorry. But to their state leaders, what I say is that you have a responsibility to protect all citizens, not just the straight ones, not just the white ones, all citizens. That's what needs to happen, is these legislatures need to understand that we are a huge contingent of the American population and that we matter, our families matter.
I'd love to get your reaction to President Biden's speech at Independence Hall on Thursday, where, as I said at the beginning of the show at 10 o'clock, it was a clarion call to the nation about the threat facing democracy. What did you make of the president's words? And do you think, and this is not meant as a partisan question, but what do you make of the reaction, the negative reaction to what the president said?
It's disgusting. That's what I have to say. And actually, I watched it. The boys watched a little bit of it with me. I felt that it was on point, that it was on tone. It was the right tone. This whole notion of the soul of the nation. It's exactly what we need to hear right now, because democracy for all of us, whether you are Black, whether you're LGBT plus, whether you're a woman, we are all under attack right now. I've said that to you before. This negative responses to it are people who want to remain in power, or people who subscribe to this toxic power structure is what I call it. And they want to keep that intact. And the reason that they want to keep that intact is because it keeps people that look like me and you at the bottom. Frankly, that's what it is. And so President Biden obviously is talking about protecting and refreshing the soul of the nation, and they're against it, right? That's not what they want, because it keeps their power structure in place.
I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Ruth Ben-Ghiat and I asked Diana Rami Berry. Do you think we'll get through this really rough moment that we're in as a nation? Will America get through this?
I think we will get through it. I don't think it's going to be easy. I don't want to paint a simple picture. It's going to be difficult. The way that I believe truly that the way that we get together is that we have to understand that we can't separate movements. We have to ignore party lines, or at least put them aside for a moment, and come together under shared values. That's the way we move forward. It can no longer be a Democratic fight, a Republican fight, a Black fight, a gay fight, a women's fight. All of those movements now have to join forces, because every one of us are under attack. The moment we realize that is the moment that we all become more powerful and that we can all actually get through this. But right now, I feel like we're segmented and we need to come together.
CEO of Family Equality, the newest resident of Washington, D.C., Stacey Stevenson. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for
coming to the Sunday Show. Give all the family a hug from me when you get home.
Thank you.
Coming up, LGBT